All right, let's jump right into this explainer and trace the absolutely phenomenal journey of Jamal Musiala. Now, if you follow modern football even a little bit, you know exactly who he is. We're talking about a guy who is widely regarded right now as one of the very best attacking midfielders on the planet. But his path to the top, it's incredibly unique. It's this wild story of dual nationalities, some really bold career moves, and just an absolute explosion of talent on the world's biggest stages.
And what's so fascinating about this story is that to really understand his current dominance over in Germany, we've actually got to look at his formative years in England. Think about it. We have a player who essentially got his entire footballing education in one country, only to cross borders and become the literal poster boy for another. It's a crazy dynamic.
Section 1. Growing up in England. So Musiala's story actually kicks off far away from the bright lights of Munich. He was born in Stuttgart, Germany, to a Nigerian British dad and a German mom, and he played his very first local football at TSV Leonard's. But at age 7, everything changed. He moved to England, and his progression through the academy ranks there was just staggering. After a brief spell with Southampton in 2010, he makes this massive leap, joining the prestigious Chelsea Academy in 2011. And that kicked off a nearly decade-long run that totally defined his youth career.
But here's the thing. During his childhood, he wasn't just sitting quietly in an academy. He was out there dominating the local English schoolboys scene. He went to primary school at Corpus Christi in New Malden, and he represented a whole bunch of professional English clubs in school tournaments. We're talking Fulham, Brentford, Wimbledon. Actually, he won the EFL Kids Cup at Wembley twice. So he was already a champion on English soil, totally embedded in English football culture, learning the game right alongside the very best English prospects.
Section 2. The move to Munich.
But despite those deep roots in the English system, a massive pivot was on the horizon. Obviously, he was a highly touted prospect at Chelsea, but let's be real, the path to first-team football there is never a sure thing. So in 2019, at just 16 years old, Musiala and his mom made the huge decision to return to Germany. This was driven by personal reasons and the looming reality of Brexit at the time. Bayern Munich immediately swooped in. They saw this elite talent and brought him straight into their youth setup. It was a massive leap of faith for a teenager.
Section 3. A record-breaking breakthrough. What followed his arrival in Munich was just an explosive, record-shattering run straight into the first team. We usually see young players take years to acclimatize to a new country and a new club culture, not Musiala. Try to picture what you were doing at exactly 17 years and 115 days old. Well, in June 2020, Musiala was stepping onto the pitch against SC Freiburg. He completely bypassed the usual waiting period and became the youngest player to ever feature for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. Just incredible.
And he wasn't just showing up. He was immediately making an impact. Fast forward just a few months to when he was 17 years old and 205 days old. He finds the back of the net in an 8-0 demolition of Schalke. That brilliant strike shattered Roque Santa Cruz's long-standing record, making Jamal Musiala Bayern's youngest ever goal scorer. His debut season was literally just a blur of high-energy milestones, one right after another. He makes his professional debut in the 3 Liga in June 2020. By November, boom, he's debuting in the Champions League. By February 2021, he's actually scoring in a Champions League knockout tie against Lazio. That specific goal made him the competition's youngest goal scorer of both English and German nationalities. Naturally, Bayern wasn't going to let him go anywhere, so they locked him down with his first professional contract just days later. And this whole journey creates such a fascinating cross-cultural dynamic. On one hand, Musiala grew up as a footballer alongside English players. He was super comfortable in the English youth system, and he even represented the England under-21s in 2020. Yet, on the other hand, his professional execution, his absolute blossoming into a superstar, happened entirely under the German banner at Bayern Munich, which is ultimately what paved his way to the German national team. And man, the battle for his international allegiance was intense. Back in 2020, German youth coach Michael Schonweitz publicly noted that Musiala had signaled his future was actually with England. The German association literally briefly conceded him to England because Musiala just felt more at home with his Chelsea peers. It actually took a direct personal pitch from then Germany coach Joachim Löw, who offered him a clear, guaranteed pathway to the senior team for Euro 2020 to finally win the international tug-of-war.
Section 4. The making of Bambi. So now that we've mapped out this crazy ascent from the Chelsea Academy to the absolute pinnacle of German football, let's talk about his play style, the stuff that makes him a true generational talent. You're going to hear commentators constantly call him Bambi. But look, he isn't called that because he's some fragile little deer. It's for his deceptively agile, youthful dominance against these huge, seasoned physical professionals. He has this almost elastic ability to weave through tiny spaces. His close-controlled dribbling and body feints literally leave world-class defenders entirely wrong-footed. It's like watching a cheat code. But it isn't just flashiness for the highlight reel, right? It's incredibly high IQ football. Former Bayern coach Hansi Flick raved about Musiala for his vision and this totally natural instinct for finding the right spaces on the pitch. He's super versatile, he prefers the left, but he can operate anywhere in that attacking midfield role. He just beautifully plays between the lines of the opposition's midfield and defense, and he plays with a supreme confidence and composure that you just don't see in players his age. And the best part? All of that brilliance translates directly into cold, hard output. When you track his goal-scoring progression across all competitions over the last few seasons, you see a player who is constantly elevating his end product. He netted 8 goals in the 21-22 season. Then he doubled that to 16 in the 2023 season, which, by the way, famously included that unbelievable 89th-minute strike to clinch the Bundesliga title on the final day, and then jumping up to 21 goals by the 24-25 campaign. He isn't just creating chances anymore, he's ruthlessly finishing them. So what does this all mean for the future? Considering his totally unparalleled youth development in England, combined with his current world-class status cultivated over in Germany, you really have to wonder just how far this star can go. He recently extended his contract with Bayern Munich until 2030, which means, incredibly, his prime years are still ahead of him. So I'll leave you with this. Has he already reached his peak? Or are we literally just reading the prologue of an all-time great's career? It's a pretty thrilling question to ponder. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on number 10.